item 7, Newhall, please. Mark, you could make a presentation.
Thank you. This application seeks approval of reserve matters relating to the erection of 163 dwellings at Phase 2 of Newhall. As a result of the controls already imposed by the Outline Planning Permission and associated documents, the main issues for consideration for this application are largely limited to the layout and appearance of the development. The site is shown edged red here. The development shown to the west of the site already has reserve matters approval and has started being constructed. Milestone Road is to the south of the site and was completed as part of Phase 1 of Newhall. A large variety of house types are proposed, so only a limited selection of street scene sections are shown here. On the whole, it is considered that the scheme is compatible with the design of the approved reserve matters within Phase 2 and the design intent of Newhall more widely. This photos of dwellings being constructed within parcel CP1B, which is one of the approved parcels to the west of the site. It provides a flavour of the types of housing which is being brought forward by the developer. This plan shows the proposed layouts would also be compatible with other developments in Newhall. Green spaces are proposed around the edges and within the development parcel. 10 trees would be removed, but these are of category C, and 176 trees are shown to be planted across the site, which would provide a well-landscaped development. The majority of typical concerns, such as the provision of infrastructure or access from London Road, for example, have been assessed already as part of other applications, or will be assessed via the discharge of the conditions for the Outline Planning Permission, and therefore shouldn't be considered at this stage. And the application is therefore recommended for approval, subject to the conditions and informatives set out at pages 17 to 24 of the agenda, with condition 6 updated to correct the plan referencing as was recommended within the committee update circulated today. Thank you.
Thank you. We only have one speaker, so that's Liz.
Good evening, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. We're the agents for Newhall and Countryside in respect of these applications. I don't propose to say much, just to endorse the officer report that's in front of you and to obviously say that this is the next parcel within the wider reserve matter, within the wider outline consent for Newhall Phase 2 and really does seek to build on the principles established as part of the Countryside phases for 1A and 1B. And hopefully moving forward into the next parcels of development in the coming months. So thank you very much, and we hope that councillors can continue to support us.
Thank you. Questions, councillors?
Easy session, thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Garland.
Just wanted to flag up. Are we going to have a 20-mile speed limit throughout this parcel of development? And can you just confirm that those square boxes at the junctions are raised to avoid any speeding?
The speed limit through the estate will be continuous, so it starts at 20 as you come in from London Road and will continue right the way through. The tables are designed to be done in the Vanderbilt block that you see through the Bellway and the Linden schemes. So they will be slightly raised and make a feature out of it to create that slower speed at those junction points.
Councillor Edwards.
Can you explain to me why the proposal only provides for 15% affordable housing, given that it's a greenfield site?
That was established at the outline planning stage. There's scope within the 106 agreement for anything between 15 to 40% subject to viability. The extent of design input and works that are required associated with the delivery of this has meant that we can't deliver any more than 15% to make it viable to continue to deliver the high quality design that Newhall has achieved to date.
Well, can you explain to me why you can't do that on that site, given that it's a greenfield site?
That is a matter in terms of the 106 rather than the reserve matter detail. The percentage of affordable housing is currently with the Planning Department for consideration.
So the Section 106 already establishes how the affordable housing should work, so this application is mainly limited to the layout and appearance matters. The 106 says that 15 should be provided at a minimum, and the council does have the opportunity to require the developer to go through a viability process, but they only have we only have 5 opportunities to do that. And we don't feel that it is appropriate to go through that process for this application. I think if we were minded to do so, we would probably do it for a larger site where the values would be greater, rather than potentially waste one of our 5 goes going through that process and potentially not ending up with 15% affordable housing at the end of it.
Yeah.
Just to, sorry, Councillor Garner, just to come back on that, what isn't in here is not completely apparent, is that as part of this parcel, what we are delivering is, I think it's almost 30% of the houses is build to rent, which is recognised within the National Planning Policy Framework as affordable housing. But because of the age of the outline planning permission on this scheme, that sort of delivery isn't recognised as affordable housing. So whilst you're not necessarily getting any more than 15% of your traditional affordable housing, we are seeking to deliver alternative types of affordable housing within the scheme itself.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Garner.
Perhaps something for Mark.
Yeah.
On page 7, details of proposal with regard to the parking, first paragraph says the total of 280 spaces, and then on page 15, access parking and highway safety concern, third paragraph, it talks in terms of 320 parking spaces.
The answer to that is we got our numbers wrong. In the update that was circulated today, it clarifies what the provision levels are. It was just it's just a mistake.
Which is the right figure?
It's the one that's in the update. One clarifies all the numbers.
The supplementary.
Yeah,
Sorry to confuse you all.
At least we spotted it in advance.
I'll just clarify what the situation is over the trees. The trees are always regarded, those that are disposed of are always regarded as having less value than any other tree for some reason, and that happens consistently. But are they replaced? I may not have read that properly.
So there's 10 that are coming out, and our arborist has said that they're all category C, so A is best, B is in the middle, C is low quality, and then U, I think, is basically dead, or it needs to come out.
Yeah.
Crucially, 176, did I say, are being planted. So, and they'll obviously be appropriate to, proximity to houses, and we'll have selection, or we'll be able to influence the selection of trees so they're appropriate for the development. So there'll be a big net increase.
I think it's also worth highlighting that when we are developing these parcels, we have a landscape architect that is very precious of her trees, and she's making sure that we're designing the scheme around the most significant trees on the site. So if you go up there and have a look even today, you'll see that there's tree protection measures around all the significant trees. She's making me walk more tree belts than you care to imagine, to make sure we are seeking to preserve the best quality trees in any development of the design layout. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Coming back to the affordable, you said that the previous Section 106 agreement is for a minimum of 15%. Have you done some kind of study as to why it is only 15% and not more than 15%?
As part of the outline planning permission, so you're going back here to 2006, planning permission wasn't even granted until 2012 in the outline planning consent. There was a very detailed assessment undertaken to underpin the Section 106 agreement that basically gave scale parameters as to what could or couldn't be acceptable depending on how it was delivered. Obviously, time has passed since that was originally entered into. It is still the legal agreement that governs this parcel of development, and we can't escape that. Similarly, reserve matters can't revisit that. But what we can ensure is that we deliver the high quality design, and we endeavour to do as much as we possibly can in terms of delivery of affordable housing. And as Mark has already highlighted, there is the scope for the council to call in viability if they deem it appropriate to do so. But we are seeking to provide a full mix as opposed to just that which is contained within the legal agreement.
Yes, you haven't answered my question. I said it's a minimum 15%. I'm asking whether you've done kind of any study as to why it is only 15% and not more than 15%. There must be some kind of study that you've done.
There's a viability assessment. There's a viability assessment that we are keeping running in the background to make sure that we are delivering at least the minimum. In some instances, certainly on parcel CP1A, those margins were incredibly tight because of delivering the retail units. So we are keeping that running, and the council has the ability to request that should they be minded to do so. The legal agreement requires anything between 15 to 40% affordable housing, with a maximum of 30% across the entire development site.
Have you shared that viability?
We've not been requested to do so.
Should we be requesting that?
Well, I think if we do so, we're potentially eating into one of our 5 goes, and I think if we were, it depends on the precise wording of the agreement, but I think it's something that we would need to very carefully consider before potentially wasting one of those goes.
Any more questions, members? Thank you. Right. Let's open up. Councillor.
Well, I'll just make a comment. I haven't talked about the affordable housing. Obviously, we are disappointed that we've done one previous application.
Yeah.
So we're disappointed. It meets what it needs to meet. Might not meet what I want, but it meets it, and I can't see there's a reason for refusing it.
Councillor Clark.
Yes, well, I share those views, and I'm very, very disappointed that it's only 15%. We have a higher, it's 35%, isn't it?
33.
33%.
The old one.
33%. In our
30.
local plan, 30% accepted in the later plan. But whatever it is, it's far more, double the amount that's being offered here. And I reluctantly agree that it is better to challenge at a later stage because of the on a larger number of houses, frankly. But I just wanted to express my concern that it's such a low proportion of affordable housing.
Yep. Councillor Livings.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say that I'm also disappointed about the amount of affordable housing that we have been able to get through. But I would like to say that Newhall itself, as of up to now, all the houses that have been built of different characters and give a nice appearance to the place. And I think that the houses that have been built so far, me personally, I'm very pleased with, and I hope these will come up to expectations as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah. Councillor Hardware.
Thank you. I've come across Countryside again. They do some very nice housing. I'm a little bit disappointed that knowing Countryside, that they're only providing 15%. I think the Section 106 previously negotiated saying between 15%, and suddenly you've just found 15%. I think a little bit kind of, not in the spirit, because obviously our local plan is looking for 30%. So I think we're all agreed that we're not going to use one of our 5 jokers or whatever they're called to call this one and have a look at the viability. I think we're all agreed on that. One thing I would raise is that residents around have raised concerns about traffic and the problems, particularly on London Road, which I see in the report Essex Highways have looked at and are quite happy with. So hopefully it won't have a too detrimental effect on the local highways. So I'm minded to approve this or support it because basically we're forced to. We've got no choice.
Okay, anybody else? No, in that case we can move to the vote. All those in favour of recommendations which appear on pages 17 to 23 of your papers, that is 1 to 6, and the supplemental one in the supplement. Yes, I was moving to it. Which appears in your supplementary agenda on page 2. Please indicate. That is carried. Thank you very much.